Have you ever been the last one picked, right? Like there's everybody else and then there's you. That was me at 10 years old on the playground. And you would think it's kids just being kids, right? But our brain processes rejection the same way it processes physical pain. So it felt as though I had just broken my arm. And without realizing it, I carried this narrative into my life that last meant least. And that story didn't stay on the playground. It followed me into my life until I learned to rewrite it. So today I'm going to show you how I used these 3 moves I'll share in the video to do exactly that. And that has led me to building a community of over 500 people across WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram, as well as work with over 100 clients in the last 8 months in our business that I've collaborated on with my sister-in-law. So I grew up with my siblings and we had some cousins and also the children from the neighborhood. You put that all together, it was like a lot of us. And everyone would fight to have my sister on their team. And if there was an extra person situation, they would rather my sister play both sides than pick me. Now imagine being 10 and just standing there and no one is fighting to have you on their team and no one is fighting to have you play for them. Yeah. Okay. Never mind the fact that my sister was actually really brilliant. She was really good at it. And I probably really sucked. That's why no one wanted to pick me. But that's not the story here. Let's stay on track. So I told myself, I don't want to play with them anyway. I don't need friends. I'm so good on my own. And that's when Miss Independent Kuda was born. So even though I was playing Miss Independent, I still avoided anything that signaled any form of rejection would come. For example, if I had an idea, I wouldn't even share it. For execution, forget about that. I wouldn't say anything that I didn't think sounded smart or brilliant. I just avoided speaking up and anything that was a bit different from what everyone else was saying. Like you just end up conforming instead of standing out and being authentic and being true to yourself and honoring the call that's on your life. I wouldn't do that. I'm like, yeah, people might not understand this at all. I wouldn't even have imagined starting a YouTube channel. Yeah. So because I was holding back so much, even in my relationships, I missed out on a lot of opportunities. And psychologists, they call this the rejection sensitivity, where you're so scared that the door will get slammed in your face, you don't knock at all. Even though Jesus said, knock and the door shall be opened for you. So imagine how many missed opportunities there was there. So I later on learned that rejection actually hurts biologically. Scientists actually discovered that the same part of your brain that lights up when you feel physical pain also lights up when you feel excluded or feel rejected. That is why moments like that, they cut so deep and they could end up shaping someone's life unless we do something about it. And that's where the good news comes in, because our brain can be rewired. Neuroplasticity means we can retrain some of those old memories and replace them with new experiences. And if you won't take it from me, because I'm a data engineer, I have no business giving you the science, right? I'm going to share a clip for you to get to hear it from a scientist. In the beginning of this video, I promised you the 3 moves that I have used, and I'm going to share them now. So the first one is name the rejection. So your rejection story doesn't necessarily have to be the same as mine. It's probably different. But if it had the same effect on your life and is still having the same effects on your life like it did on mine, the most important thing is to name it. Okay, so I picked this Miss Independent, I don't like people don't like me narrative based on what had happened when I was 10 or younger, right? And that got me creating a bit of a show for myself. Right now, my business is all about connections and people. It's a personal development business where we are helping people unlock their gifts so that they can pursue their visions and their goals and put their dreams to life. How was I going to be able to have those conversations with people had I not named my rejection and worked on rewiring my brain? How was I going to be able to connect with people that we have partnered with in our business who have come as external stakeholders to help our experiences come to life, because we host in-person events as well? How was I going to be able to talk to people and get them joining our communities and get them coming for our virtual experiences or even our in-person experiences if I hadn't named my rejection and worked on rewiring my brain? So the first step is always to name the rejection. If there's a lot, maybe just start with one, because we don't want to get overwhelmed. We just want to go one at a time. So that's the first move. Move number 2, I call it micro bravery reps. Okay, so I always challenge myself to ask a question. It doesn't matter whether it's going to be in a meeting, at a seminar, with my friends, having a basic conversation. I always listen. They say something I don't quite know, that's quite new to me. I'm going to ask a question. And what that has done, it has helped me shape my confidence in asking. Because I'm not going to lie, before I ask a question, especially if it's a meeting with like big bosses and stuff, it's intimidating, isn't it? I know. My heart starts racing and I just feel like I'm about to lose air. But the more you do it, it's like a muscle. It gets better and better. And confidence doesn't come from, I don't know, like people were just born with it. Confidence comes when you build up on these little small habits. And before you know it, it just flows naturally out of you. So instead of treating conversations as oh, I'm just talking to my friend, I'm just waiting for them to finish talking and then I'm going to say something to compete with what they've said, just listen, get a question from what they've said, have a follow-up question to that, right? So these little micro shifts in your conversations day to day can also help and transcend into your conversations when you go back to work. All of a sudden you're listening to your coworkers or you're listening to your managers when they're speaking, you're not just saying yes, you're actually stopping to pause, listen, ask questions. So I always challenge myself to do that. Just ask the question. And before you know it, you've been asked to be a part of bigger projects and bigger meetings because you've expressed some form of curiosity and you've demonstrated that to your good listener. Move number 3, which is my absolute favorite, and I call it build the in-group. This is now you taking action, doing the things that you love. That's if you want to build a community, of course. If you don't want to build a community, this example will still apply to anything that you want to do, even if it's a business, because guess what? These days, people respond more to connection than the fluff. Okay, so here we go. You stop waiting for a seat at the table and you set your own table. You set your own table. Okay, if you can't set your own table, get the big guns to come in because he does set and prepare a table for us in front of our enemies. I digress. Anyway, the moment I stopped waiting for invitations and waiting for people's validations, the more I started seeing results in my life. For example, I'll give you very simple ideas that seem very simple, but they made an impact in people's lives. And well, there are also other brutal examples. I do apologize for that one. The first example was I introduced Cake Day within my department. So Cake Day was when we'd all come together, contribute towards each other's birthday. So when it's someone's birthday, we all put some money together and we have cake in the office. It's simple, right? But when I left, months later, one of our bosses sent me a message saying, you know, this year I didn't get cake. You are missed. It's something small, but someone noticed. And things like that, they could be small. They could have nothing to do with your business day to day, but they make an impact. Another example would be, I used to host, now it's different. I used to host very small walking challenges. This one is a bit of a brutal example. If you've been following this channel and slash when I was doing the podcast on Spotify, the Quest Finders, you know there was an episode where things got brutal and people were competing and it got out of hand. But because we had rules that allowed people to follow through, for example, it was 200 kilometers per month for the target, which is not too bad. And it's either you're on track to doing half of that, which would be 100, or you're on track to do something in between 100 and 200. But anything below that was unacceptable. So, yeah, you would get disqualified if you were not on target. But this was only to train and encourage people to practice follow through because we do love follow through. But anyway, I did digress quite a bit on that one. But move number 3, build your own in-group, and all of a sudden you're the one who's doing the hosting, you're the one who's building out and seeking out those connections and not waiting to be invited. So remember, belonging isn't about getting a seat on someone's table. It's about knowing that you don't have to audition for it and you're the main actor of your own life. It's about making the small little shifts that are actually going to empower you instead of disempower you. It's about not letting fear control you anymore or other people's fear control you. It's actually about showing up as the person that you want to show up as and going for the opportunities that you know have been set on your path. Okay, so this week, I want you to do something that's going to help you towards the big vision you've been going for, that dream, to help you towards stepping into the future you that you're happy with. Another step to killing the old you that's stopping you from pursuing your gifts, from sharing your gifts with the rest of the world, and from posting that video that's still sitting in your drafts. So this week, I'm celebrating 500 subscribers. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome, right? But then I also want to start seeing you comment, interact with me. Let's talk. If you've got questions, comments about any of the things that I've said today, please do find them below. Hi, this is Kuda. This has been the Quest Finders, and you have been awesome. And I'm so happy. And I hope you have a very good week ahead of you. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye for now.